Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure collab, which has just gone live in North America. So this is a brand new collaboration that we have received for the very first time, and it essentially signifies that these cards are much more modern. We have cards with triple 10 combo just like it's any old thing, and to be honest, we've kind of come to the point where triple 10 combo is become the norm, and for the most part, the cards in this event are from 2023. Well, they obviously are, but they just feel like they're much more modern and almost like a little bit of a step ahead compared to other things currently available. Yes, Draconic Orchestra does have some nice cards, but they're kind of scattered amongst some good, some not so great, whereas these cards here, a lot of them feel quite solid. And for the most part, despite the rolling rates being 15.5% chance for 7-star, 24% chance for 6-star, and 60.5% chance for any of the bottom rarity, it's still reasonably good. When you think about it, Godfests, if they have a 40% chance or 39.5% chance to get like a Godfest exclusive, that's pretty good rates. And for the most part, the vast majority of the 6 and 7 stars are meaningful and will provide value for a given monster box. So I feel that this is an event that's definitely worth rolling in despite the 10 Magic Stone price tag because, again, these cards are new. Every card comes with at least one weapon assist, which means you are going to be able to have some flexibility. And the bottom rarity cards, despite them being like bottom rarity, they're actually not too shabby whatsoever. Like 5-star base cards have merits because when you think about it, any team that has a rarity clause like say Shiny and Baddie, Flamey Bubbly, or any like roguelike dungeons, like they care about cards having like low base rarity or low team cost, and these cards can fit that bill, so to speak. So it can be worth rolling in. Also, if you're a newer player, a lot of the 5-star cards are actually pretty strong just right out of the get-go. Like they have pretty modern awakenings and kits. And again, if you roll them and you can't make use of them in their base forms, they have weapon assists. So as long as I get a new card every time, I'll be pretty happy in this event overall. So for this review, I'm only going to be looking at the 7 and 6 stars because those are obviously the more exciting cards in this event. The 5-star cards are still respectable overall, but for the most part, they're probably going to end up as weapon assists, which there's only one weapon assist form, so it's probably the one you're going to pursue. But again, if you have teams that utilize low rarity cards or different rarity cards, this can be a potentially meaningful event. And before I jump right into the 7-star cards, I want to give you a bit of a heads up for these new transforming Godfest exclusives that will be coming out at some point. Basically, it's Daytona and Seawolf mashed together, and they need to match all 3 colors of red, yellow, blue, and they love basically just matching red, yellow, blue essentially. They have a flat health multiplier, they have bonus combos, auto follow-up attack, and their active skill on a 2-turn cooldown makes those orbs. But I just want you to keep in the back of your mind, are there any cards here that could fit this bill and make this team work better? Because one thing that's missing is obviously there's no cleric, so they obviously bring a cleric. You need absorption counters, but you also need void damage void for both Seawolf Daytona as well as Royal Oak Nautilus. Neither of them come with VDPs, and it's just going to be much better for you to actually use a void damage void active skill. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind if I reference these cards, why I'm referencing them, because these will come to North America at some point, and many of the cards in the JoJo collab can have merits for these teams. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Jonathan. So, my name is actually Jonathan, and there's a strong likelihood I want to get this card simply because his name is Jonathan. And Jonathan, in his base form, is going to be utilized more than the other forms because they are going to be essentially the new premier Shiva Dragon leader. Because right now, it's Leo from Ultraman, and it is definitely a strong and powerful leader, but Jonathan takes a significant step higher. The attack multiplier is way, way higher, which is a big deal in Super Gravity Dungeons because now all your cards are capping with relative ease compared to beforehand. They have a slightly different leader skill of they need to match 6 or more connected fire orbs. And that's important because 6 or more is much easier than 10 or more for Leo. So in case locked orbs or any other nonsense occurred or whatever you got delayed, there is at least a chance you can activate your leader skill clause by matching 6 red orbs. You don't trigger the combo orbs or the blob awakenings, but at least there's that chance you survive. And then you obviously get big damage in matching 7 or more connected fire orbs, up to 35 times at 12. So the goal is obviously to match 12. Shiva Dragons make you 2 rows, which is 12 on 6x5. It's a good time. They have auto follow-up attack, and they don't need bonus combos because with combo orbs and blobbing, you're going to be triggering those combo orb awakenings, which will make your combo count go high enough. So if you didn't pull Leo and you don't have any other good options, this is definitely a very worthwhile trade to possibly make. Even if you do have Leo, maybe this might still be a worthwhile trade because it is a significant upgrade. Leo has a 2-turn cooldown, which is nice, but it's not the highest impact card overall. But Jonathan, he comes with 2 turns of Void, Damage Void, which is essential for these types of teams. And you're oftentimes bringing some sort of sub that does Void, Damage Void, and now Jonathan can do that for you. In addition to that, it gives you 2 turns of 5 times attack for the Jonathan himself, so obviously gargantuan amounts of damage output. Unlocks the board, which is again a key thing. Shiva Dragons don't unlock your board. This does. Solves some problems in there. And then changes the top 2 rows to fire orbs. So again, you could in theory, if there were no fire orbs in the middle row, you could have 2 big blobs, so to speak, if you use Shiva Dragon or Jonathan. Or maybe your Shiva Dragon got delayed for whatever reason. Jonathan can step in and fulfill the orb clause for their leader skill. Overall, it's a stellar leader for swipe farming and even playing through UN dungeons. Just a stronger card all around for the most part, and it's pretty exciting. Just be mindful of the fact that they're not bind immune unless they take that super awakening or you put a weapon assist on top, but in theory their damage output isn't really constricted by being in solo versus co-op, so that is a little bit of bonuses if that's interesting to you. For their evolved form, it's triple 10 combo, and normally that would have been pretty cool, but everything is triple 10 combo in this day and age, pretty much. They have super blind resist, they create 3 fire, light, and hearts at random, and then if their health is below 50%, so you get 3 times attack for this monster. I guess that's kind of cool. It is a 19.36 times effective health leader for attacker type cards when matching fire and light, so in theory that could do some things. There's no auto follow-up attack, and it doesn't obviously let you do Shiva Dragon nonsense, so I feel like I would definitely use the base form. Their weapon assist is pretty cracked as well. This is going to be kind of the theme for many of these cards. You're fully bind immune, 7 combo, and Devil Killer, which is 5 times personal damage for the owning card, which is pretty great. And then for 3 turns, you get Enhanced Orbs more likely to appear, Fire Orbs more likely to appear, and then for 3 turns, bypass damage and attribute absorption cancellation. So it's an active skill that does many useful things. It's really the 3 turns of attribute and damage absorption cancellation, which is something you're going to need for the vast majority of teams and dungeons, so it's never going to be a bad choice, but at this exact moment, I'm much more inclined to use their base form for Shiva Dragon Gloriousness. You can also monster exchange for him, so that's a big deal. Next is Jolyne, and she is an Orb Skin card, so you can't monster exchange, but you could purchase directly. And after they transform in 22 turns with a 3 skill boost here, they are able to function as a stellar 3 attribute leader. So they come with no skill bind resist, they come with no movement time, they just come with a ton of 3 attribute awakenings, to the point where their personal damage is sky high. Even in super gravity dungeons, it's a monstrous amount of damage. Just let's think of it this way. Remember Cammy and Amino who have like a zillion 7 combos? Well, 3 attribute awakenings are 2.5 times damage, not 2 times damage. So this is infinitely higher personal damage. So pretty magical stuff all around. And remember, all these cards have 8 latent slots, so you can take the 6 slot plus 2 other things like maybe SDRs or whatever you need. Once transformed on a 2-turn cooldown, you give herself a 3.5 billion damage cap increase, and this is non-conditional. Just press the active skill, her damage cap has been increased, and she's going to hit that on both main and sub-attribute. And then for 1 turn, you get attack and RCV increased by every 3 attribute awakening on the team. So with dual leaders, pretty crazy. You're going to have an immense amount of attack multiplier and RCV multiplier. So healing is never going to be an issue. Damage should never be an issue. The only drawback is it obviously doesn't make orbs for yourself. So like that could be a bit of a drawback, but generally speaking, every board should have 3 attributes unless something weird has happened, and you're probably going to bring some orb changers. Maybe you bring like a permanent uptime spinner card. Who knows? But the point is, a 3 attribute team is pretty easy to use in this day and age for a large amount of personal damage and 16 times effective health. You have to match 4 or more connected orbs. That will always be available no matter what happens, and then basically matching 3 or more colors, you get all the bonus combos, auto follow attack, a solid 3 color leader overall, and like it's just going to be relatively straightforward and easy to play. And in fact, their weapon assist is also pretty strong as well. If you can't take advantage of them as a leader or sub, Their weapon assist gives you a 3 attribute awakening and triple team RCVs and a whole second of orb movement time. Now, at this exact moment, LJ Kitty kind of reigns supreme to a certain extent as like the best rainbow leader prior to this event, but this event is definitely going to give her a bit of a run for her money, so to speak. And normally team RCVs are kind of worthless on LJ Kitty because of the auto healing component. You don't really match hearts necessarily. For every other team out there that's not LJ Kitty, team RCV is actually important, so granting your team a significant boost to your healing potential and that card a massive amount of personal damage of 2.5 times with the 3 attribute awakening is a big deal. But the active skill itself is 3 turns of 2 times orb movement time, 3 turns of 75% damage reduction, and then 3 turns of the board becoming 7x6. Now, in the upcoming UN3 dungeon, there is going to be floors that shrink your board to 5x4, which looks really weird and silly, but it's going to be absolutely lethal for a wide variety of teams because they suddenly can't activate their leader skill clause anymore. So with this active skill, you enlarge your board, and because it's overriding a debuff, your board changes back to its normal happy self. So this could be a great weapon assist to have in your pocket for rainbow teams in the future. For Joseph, I wasn't particularly impressed with this card, unfortunately. They are a non-transforming card, so they could double damage cap with double 10 combo, 4 TPAs with a chance to get an extra 7 combo. Their active skill is a 3-turn cooldown that gives you 1 spinner for 1 turn. So it's not a loopable spinner, which is obviously a bit of a drawback. You unlock the board and change water to wood orbs. So it's not like a bad active skill, but it's not great by any means. Their leader's skill potential needs 2+ wood combos, but they don't really make wood orbs. Dual leaders is not enough. You don't have it's a 3-turn cooldown, so you can't use dual leaders and just spin things out. I'm not particularly impressed with this card personally. In their evolved form, triple 10 combo, which is again pretty normal nowadays, but it's a 9-turn cooldown, and 9-turn cooldowns are incredibly long. They give yourself unlock the board, change the whole board to wood, dark, and hearts, and then you enhance the whole board. So I guess that's kind of nice. And then you also get 2 turns of void, damage, void. So you're piercing through damage, void. On a 9-turn cooldown, that's definitely a bit on the longer end for some subs. But again, you definitely could make it work out if there are teams that actually need to match both wood and dark. But at this exact moment, none are coming to my mind that really want to match wood and dark, so they're kind of like languishing in this awkwardness of like, where do I use this card? And then for their weapon assist, it's a wood sub-attribute and then double TPA with Devil Killer. So when you think about it, this is one of the largest damage boosting potentials you can have from a weapon assist. It's just, where are wood TPA teams? Hard to say. A little awkward in that regards there. Maybe if it's a devil-heavy dungeon and your card didn't have a wooded sub-attribute, it could be a viable option just for that aspect there. The active seal gives you void, damage, void for 2 turns, unlocks the board and creates exactly 15 and exactly 15 dark orbs. So maybe you can do cool funky patterns, double VDP, 10 combo boards, whatever you need to do, maybe it could be good. But for the most part, I'm not as happy about Joseph, and I'm glad it's Joseph that's not so great instead of Jonathan for weird reasons. Next is, oh goodness, I cannot pronounce this guy's name unfortunately, but they are a transforming card that gives you a full cleric style active skill when they transform, which is nice. And then when they do transform, they have a pretty funny voice line. I tapped it and it's just a bunch of yelling. So like, you know, every 4 turns you can yell something really loud, which could be cool. You get 4 10 combo awakenings, 4 enhanced hard orb awakenings with a large RCV stat, so they can be your healing solution and a monstrous damage dealer. And then on a 4-turn cooldown, they change their damage cap to 5 billion. I'm going to need a calculator at some point in the future to calculate how much damage output my teams can do with all these like weird damage cap increasing active skills. And it's going to become like pretty crazy at some point in time, I feel. But either way, that 5 billion is definitely quite achievable, even on the sub-attribute, simply because it's quad 10 combo with a pretty large attack stat. And then on that 4-turn cooldown, you also give yourself a full cleric active skill of Bind, Awoken Bind, and All Unmatchable. So in terms of utility, it's an incredible cleric. Hard-hitting, healing potential, 4-turn cooldown for a full cleric active skill with a damage cap increasing. It's a pretty magical card overall, and I would definitely like to pick one of these up because it seems like a pretty bright idea. Their leader skill wants to match light and heart orbs, so I guess it's definitely doable when you have like a way to like loop if you have ways to make orbs, but that may not necessarily be always available. For Giorno, I can't think I'm pronouncing that. They have 2 skill boosts, and then after 20 turns, they transform. They do make a spinner for 5 turns, which could help you fish out orbs in the interim while you're trying to get orb generators up. But once they do transform, they've got super poison resist. They got 3 10 combos and 3 L awakenings. So 3 L awakenings is a large amount of damage if you actually match the L. And then their active skill on a 4-turn cooldown is to create 1 spinner that changes every second for 4 turns. So it's 100% uptime on a spinner. So any team that is very reliant on having specific orbs present all the time can take advantage of these spinner generating active skills. So my Elfride team could definitely take advantage of it. Rainbow teams could arguably take advantage of it instead of using Raphine. You could obviously utilize them as a leader even and pair them with Ultraman Geats, if I'm not mistaken, is it? Or Common Rider Geats. But basically you can pair with them and have another way to ensure orbs. They also give you 4 turns of 25% auto healing, unlocks the board and changes wood to light, enhance all light orbs. So loopable active skill that gives you a spinner and auto healing all the time. And then their leader skill ignores movement time debuffs because it's fixed 15 seconds. And then it gives you 4 times stats for lights, 3 times attack, and increased combo count for matching exactly 5 connected light orbs. So Geats wants to match exactly 5. This individual wants to match exactly 5. They can pair together and be great friends overall. And with those spinners and the auto healing component from their active skill, it's going to be easier to sustain continuous attacks. Pretty exciting times overall when I think about it. And then their weapon assist gives you a light sub-attribute, a 7 combo, and an L. And again, these L awakenings actually deal meaningful amounts of damage, so it can be a great way to layer in more damage on a given card. And then the active skill Stealth gives you 2 turns of haste, 3 turns of movement time, and RCV and attacking. So universal buffer, 2 turns of haste, strong awakenings overall, great choice. It's just all the cards are pretty great overall. Next is one of the versions of Dio. There's another Dio out there, and this Dio is the background music. So maybe I'll call it background music Dio. And then when they do transform, they are able to have triple 10 combo, 2 3 attribute awakenings, large amounts of personal damage, which is kind of be a trend in this event. Their active skill is a 2-turn cooldown that gives you damage cap increased to 4 billion, and then creates 6 fire, water, wood, dark, and hearts. So it doesn't make light orbs. So any 5 attribute team can't use this, but 4 attribute or less teams can definitely take advantage of this active skill. And because it's a 2-turn cooldown, it's pretty good overall. And even as a leader, it does work out well because you need to match 2+ water combos. And remember, with 2 leaders, you're always going to have 2+ water combos, assuming the board wasn't locked, because you make 6 water orbs. So you have great leader skill multiplier with 19.36 times effective health. You have auto follow attack and bonus combos. The only drawback is you have to use devil type cards, so just be mindful of yourself in team building. But again, this can definitely work out as a very viable leader or even sub potentially. And then for their weapon assist, it's pretty outrageous when I think about it. They have the negative skill boost to try and offset all the magical stuff it gives you, because it gives you full bind immunity, 7 combo, VDP, 2 enhanced dark orbs, absolutely outrageous amounts of damage output potential, especially for mono dark teams. And New Year's Ladro, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be quite a formidable leader potentially. And this weapon assist obviously takes him to new heights. When you think about it, VDPs I think are 3.5 times personal damage, times 2 of the 7. 7 times personal damage against any spawn when you match those VDPs is truly, truly, truly outrageous. And then the active skill on a 14-turn cooldown changes your attribute to dark for 6 turns. 6 turns, 5 times attack, 6 turns, recover 50% of your max HP. It's too long of a cooldown to loop, but when you do activate it, it does give you quite a bit of sustaining. But from an Awakenings point of view, absolutely outrageous. Any team that needs to match a VDP can gain great benefits out of this weapon assist. For Kujo, they are another transforming card and 4 skill boosts, and after 26 turns, they transform. And when they are transformed, they are pretty darn unique. They have 5 10 combo awakenings. It was just yesterday I was saying quad 10 combo was outrageous. Now we're at 5 10 combos. Pretty absurd, but it's a transforming card, so you might think, well, that's gonna go all to waste, but their active skill is pretty crazy. Their active skill lets you move orbs freely for 5 seconds, so it's a change the world active skill. And if you do match 10 or more combos with either like leader skill bonuses or active skill bonuses, his damage cap increases to 9.9 billion. So one card can almost deal 20 billion damage if you can solve a 5-second change the world. From what I've been reading and looking up, you don't get the damage cap increase unless you actually hit the 10 combos during that change the world active skill. So if you are able to set it up, absurd amounts of damage. This guy potentially does more damage than entire teams used to deal. Truly, truly outrageous once again. It's going to be kind of the theme in this dungeon. And in theory, it does work as a respectable leader. Like, these are large stats, huge stats. You get bonus combos and auto follow attack when matching 3 or more colors, assuming you're attacker type teams. Like, a lot of these cards can function as great rainbow leaders when you really think about it. In his other form, could have up to 6 skill boosts, still triple 10 combo with full blind resist, and then on a 6-turn cooldown, you get a huge damage, 10 times attack for this card, and then 1 turn of bypassing damage absorption and attribute absorption. So it's a 6-turn cooldown for 1 turn of damage and attribute absorption cancellation. Never going to be a bad thing to have, but it's, I guess, less unique in this day and age, so to speak. For their weapon assist, pretty strong as well. Attacker typing donation, skill boost, attack while above 50%, and 3 attribute awakenings. It's a large amount of personal damage if you're above half health. So again, a great way to layer damage onto your rainbow-based teams. And then on a 20-turn cooldown, you get 3 turns of Void, Damage Void, and 3 turns of Haste. Never going to be a bad active skill to overcharge into, but even just like sitting on a card and not worrying about it is a great way to layer in damage. And then next is another form of Dio, and maybe he's thinking very hard here, but there are some interesting aspects to his kit. So when he does transform, he becomes a stellar rainbow leader, and in Japan, a lot of the templates use one-piece cards as the alternative pairing because they don't come with auto like bonus combos, but you probably could self-pair. You could pair with like anything that gives basically bonus combos, so to speak. They are devil typing. Raphine technically uses devils anyways. You could pair with Raphine. But point of the matter is, let's take a look a bit closer at this card. They have 6 4-attribute awakenings. So once again, gargantuan amounts of personal damage. The active skill on a 3-turn cooldown gives you a 9-second change the world, and then if 4 different colors are matched during this 9 seconds of changing the world, their damage cap becomes 9.9 billion. Once again, this is a card that can deal more damage than pretty much entire teams used to be able to deal. So with 2 of these, you can be dealing absurd amounts of damage. Obviously, you're not going to stack them on the same turn because I don't think that really could work, but more so the point of the matter is 2 out of 3 turns, you're going to be having one card hitting for stupendous amounts of damage. Now, obviously, you want to make sure you have like the correct number of colors and orbs and whatnot. So orb generators, spinners from Raphine could solve your problem. But there are a wonderful leader with huge leader skill multipliers. Like, we're seeing attack multipliers above 1,000 now. Like, it's just like numbers are going like way out of the roof now, and I guess that's Gung-Ho's way to kind of address super gravity dungeons, but like I guess we can take advantage of it, so to speak. Basically, all you have to do is match 4 or more colors, and then you get the auto follow-up attack along with just true damage. Yeah, basically, just match 4 or more colors, and then you get stats if you're devil typing, so obviously bring devil type cards. If you're not interested in arguably what is an incredibly strong leader, this TPA form has 10 TPAs and large attack stats, so obviously comically high damage. And then on a 9-turn cooldown, they give a personal attack multiplier, and then they give 2 turns of Void, Damage Void, and then 2 turns of 7x6 and 2 turns of delay. They're doing a bit of everything, but once again, in the future UN3 dungeon, there's going to be board shrinkages, and teams like, say, Kaishu, who needs 7x6 to survive, can definitely rely on Dio, and this will be their whole world, so to speak, just expanding their board overall. And again, large leader skill multipliers, but it's only 5 seconds of orb movement time, which sounds pretty painful overall. For their weapon assist, it's a Devil Killer with 4 attribute and attacker killer and a whole second of orb movement time with 3 turns of delay and then 3 turns of self-attack buffing. In terms of weapon assist, that's a monstrous amount of personal damage increased with no real downside overall. And if they're an attacker type spawn, they're getting absolutely deleted. And now we come to the 6-star cards, and none of these cards can be monster exchanged. They have to be rolled for. You can't buy them directly, so again, I do encourage you to roll in this event, so this is obviously something that you might potentially acquire. And again, 8 latent skill slots. And then after they do transform on a 24-turn cooldown, they have 2 turns of damage absorption and attribute absorption cancellation, which is pretty great because this oftentimes happens early on in dungeon. But when they do transform, this doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to read the description in PadDB very quickly what this active skill actually does, because it doesn't quite work here. But what it says it does, it gives activated after 3 turns. So on a 2-turn cooldown, you can have this going almost all the time, but you have to kind of like think a little bit ahead, so to speak. You've got to plan this out. But when you do use this active skill, it gives you 5 times attack for fire and dark for 2 turns. So on a 2-turn cooldown, that kind of just loops in the future. And then you void attribute and damage absorption for 2 turns. So you don't get the use of it right away, but it will become looping in the future. It's a pretty strong active skill when you really think about it. And with quad 10 combo and a leader skill that technically scales with every matched 5 fire, dark, or hard orbs, it is the potential to be a strong leader as well. So again, for a mid-rarity card, pretty powerful thing overall. And their weapon assist provides you with a devil typing, 7 combo, and then enhanced fire and enhanced dark combos, along with an active skill that gives you a 40% gravity, along with making a board of fire, dark, heal. There are many spawns at the very end of dungeons that have comically high amounts of health, and doing a 40% gravity can get you there much quicker, which can save you some time and stress. But again, it's a pretty powerful absorption spawn solution that has immense personal damage. Jean-Pierre is going to be a great sub for the future. Is it Daytona Seawolf? It is Daytona Seawolf. I'm just remembering the colors. And remember, their colors are favorable. And one thing I mentioned at the beginning is they want to have Void, Damage Void, and Haste as well, because they're multi-step transformation. And Jean-Pierre gives you that. 2 turns of haste when transformed. And when they are transformed, they are double 10 combo, triple 3 attributes. And remember, these Seawolf Daytona teams match 3 colors. So they're proccing all of their multipliers, so to speak. And then on a 3-turn cooldown, they give you Void, Damage Void for 1 turn, 1 turn of 5 times personal damage, and then 1 turn of changing his damage cap to 3.5 billion, and enhance all orbs, which means get rid of all the negative orbs on the board. So this is going to happen every 3 turns. It's a Void, Damage Void, which you need. Immense personal damage. It's going to be a great sub to have, because remember, you need a Void, Damage Void card on these types of teams, so Jean-Pierre is going to be pretty strong overall. Drawback is you have to unfortunately roll him. And then in terms of his weapon assist, it gives you bind immunity and 2 skill boosts with no actual downside whatsoever. Like, I don't know how often you're going to need that, but the fact that it's unique makes it interesting, but I am definitely much more interested in their base or transforming state. For Koichi, I found them underwhelming, and maybe you can figure out a good use for them. Let me know, because I just kind of looked at that and I'm thinking, like, well, your triple 10 combo with a 3 attribute guard break L awakening, which has become kind of normal now, but it's their active skill that I feel is a bit underwhelming. It's a 4-turn cooldown, which is quite long for a transforming card. It gives you 1 turn of 2 times attack for all monsters, unlocks the board, and changes it to fire, water, wood, light, dark, and heal. It's not short enough to loop. If it was a 3-turn cooldown, you could use it to loop on like LJ Kitty teams or many other rainbow-based teams that have 3-turn cooldown board changers. But with a 4-turn cooldown, I feel like there's just no good way to truly utilize it. So just a little awkward, I feel, overall. Like, just not a great fit. One less turn on the cooldown would have been better. For their weapon assist, I guess it's pretty wild when you think about it. They get full blind resist and a cross awakening and a 4-turn delay. I guess when I think about it, it's a pretty strong solution to help you transform, assuming you could actually delay the opposing spawn. But overall, I'm just kind of about this 6-star card. It's kind of like one of the few cards along with Joseph that I think are kind of from the higher rarity. Next is Bruno, and Bruno is not a transforming card, so again, you could double damage cap them if relevant. They can have triple 10 combo with tape resist, and it's natural tape resist and natural cloud resist. And that is actually a big deal because many spawns nowadays are taking away your assists. And obviously you could utilize the new tricks of like using the assist void and matching L's to put them back. But oftentimes Gung-Ho has set it up in such a way that in the dungeon, after the assists are taken away, the next floor makes tapes and clouds, etc. So having those naturally on a given card is quite a big boon when you think about it, because now you can ignore those problems. You don't have to like jump through hoops, so to speak, to find those resists on cards who you may not have necessarily wanted to bring. So from an Awakening's point of view, I'm pretty excited. And then their active skill on a 7-turn cooldown gives you 1 turn no Skyfalls, 1 turn of setting the far left column to tape, which is kind of ironic. Like, they have tape resist, but they'll self-tape. Now, that is useful when you play, like, say, UN2 with 7x6. When you enter No Hime's floor, she will Awaken skill bind you and give you 15 turns of tape and cloud. With this active skill, you will give yourself 1 turn of tape. And then after 1 turn, it's gone. You can puzzle through the clouds at the top row. I don't think it's as bad. Puzzling with the tape and cloud is definitely much more annoying or painful. So this solves that problem, while also having those natural resists for future floors that may not be in UN2. And then in addition to that, you get 2 turns of damage and attribute absorption cancellation. Pretty spectacular overall when you think about it. Like, it's a 2 turns of absorption cancellation with solid personal damage, with great resist, with high skill boost. Pretty nice card, and the colors line up well for, like, when you think about it, like New Year's Fair Rule, and it can be a great way to solve the problems that arise from using 7x6 boards. And then for their weapon assist, they give you Awakenings that look cool for New Year's Fair Rule, but you don't match rows on 7x6, so I'm not quite sure where I'd use this weapon assist overall. I honestly just feel like it's way cooler to use in their base form personally. That's just my opinion. Next is cars, and no, they're not like Daytona, which is an actual car, but when they transform after 22 turns, they give you 3 turns of Void, Damage Void, and in their transformed state, they have 4 TPAs, triple 10 combo, and their 3-turn cooldown gives you 1 turn of movement time, 1 turn of Void, Damage Void, 1 turn of bonus combos, and 1 turn of setting their cap to 4 billion. The bonus combos are useful against spawns that give you a massive number of negative combos. Now, they don't cancel each other out, they just kind of like add each other up. So say you have -3 combos, and this is +4, it becomes net +1 combo. Again, there are spawns that heavily debuff your combo count, and being able to like overcome that spawn when you desperately need it can be meaningful. So again, could be useful in that sense there. Immense amount of personal damage. This is obviously a transforming card, so they can't double damage cap, but with their damage cap increasing active skill and in super gravity dungeons, it becomes much more viable overall. And then for their weapon assist, they give you full jam resist, a single TPA, and 2 Dark Orb enhances. And then it's technically kind of like a loopable attack buff if it's inherited on like a 1-turn cooldown card, because it gives you 6 turns of 2.5 times dark damage. And then lastly, for the 6-star cards, we come to Vinegar. And Vinegar is a 3 skill boost transforming card that gives you no Skyfalls for 3 turns, but when they do transform, they have quad 10 combo, 3 seconds of orb movement time, and on an 8-turn cooldown, it's pretty weird when I think about it. It gives you disables the team's active skills for 1 turn, which is okay, like you use your active skills beforehand that you need to do, and then for 1 turn you make fire, water, wood, light, dark, and heal unmatchable. So there's no way to match any orbs. You're not getting any active skill charging up. And then you get 1 turn of 100% damage, shield, and then recover all HP, remove all awoken skill binds. It's pretty weird, but also unique at the same time. I'm just trying to think of a situation where this is going to be meaningful. Maybe in cases where, like, opposing spawns will like do some horrible negative things to you, and then in 1 turn they execute you. Maybe this gives you that saving grace, so to speak. It lets you put up this thing here, you don't die, and then you kill it the next turn. I'm not quite sure, really. It's just, if you can tell me how you feel like this card can be used, because I don't think there's any way to like recover the unmatchable to match orbs in safety. So it's kind of odd when I think about it, but unique. But it's the weapon assist I honestly feel like is where their main value comes from. They give you a dark sub-attribute and triple team HP and 2 enhanced dark orbs. Just from an Awakening's point of view, it's a great weapon assist. In all honesty, the fact that their transforming form is unique, their weapon assist is pretty great, especially for your mono dark teams. Like, it's basically like a triple team HP with extra damage. Extra zest is always nice. And in theory, with the 100% shield tied to this active skill for one turn, it's kind of like an effective skill boost if it overcharges. You pull up that shield, you don't die, you're going to get going on your way. Now, that being said, those are all the 7 and 6-star cards in the event. Like I said, the 5-star cards are nice, I'd say, relatively speaking, but obviously not your real chases. If you get them, they're probably weapon assists, or they are utilized for lower rarity cards that like low rarity clause teams or different rarity clause team compositions. But with that being said, let me know what you think about this event in the comment sections down below. I personally am going to be rolling in this event a modest amount on my Twitch stream later on tonight, so I'm excited to hopefully get some cool and exciting cards overall. But regardless of all that, hopefully all you lovely ladies and gentlemen out there have a truly fantastic day. I wish you the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.